The first part of this video is going to be spoiler free, so if you haven't yet played the game or you don't want to know how it ends, don't worry. I'm going to be spoiler free until a certain point. It will be very clear when I'm going to jump over, so go ahead and watch with ease for the first portion of this video. Let me say this up front and early. This game is amazing. I love this game so much. I am so happy it finally came out. It was worth the wait. I know that sounds weird. There are some flaws. We're going to get into those. Up front and early, the story, the thing you need to know about the story, the spoiler-free portion of the story. This is a game about companionship between a boy and his dog, or whatever this thing is, right? Two people, in this case, Trico, the beast, as they refer to him, and the boy, who is nameless throughout the entire game, find themselves in an unfortunate situation and have to rely on each other to get out. And through this bond and trust that they form for each other, incredible things happen throughout this game. And there are some amazing set pieces, and there are some awe-inspiring moments where you just really can't help but feel happy for these two that they've figured out what they're meant to do. There are some major gut check moments that really just hit you right in the feels. And I always tell my friends that I cried like a baby at the end of Shadow Colossus. I didn't cry in this game, but I teared up a few times, and we'll talk about that in the spoiler section. That's all I'm going to say about the story. Presentation, the sound, the graphics. Ueda has done an amazing job with this game. Like other games, very minimalist in the sound. So that means that when you're walking around, you really won't hear a lot of things. You'll just hear the sound effects of the game, the beast breathing, the boy running, that sort of thing. You don't really hear sound in the traditional sense of background music with like an orchestra or like a major musical scoring until something significant is about to happen. And you know in playing when something cool is about to happen, and the music comes in at just the perfect time, and it really sells the moment. Whether it's the beast performing some amazing, incredible feat, or the boy clinging on to life by hanging onto this thing's tail, whatever it happens to be, the music kicks in and it makes it just so much more special than it would have been if it was by itself, and I love that. Unfortunately, the graphics do stutter in numerous places. I was playing on a PlayStation 4, the Destiny Edition, which is just the stock PlayStation 4, not the Slim, not the PlayStation Pro, just the regular old PlayStation, and 1080p, and this game chugged in a lot of places when I don't think that it should have, and that was frustrating to me because there are some beautiful set pieces. One of the very cool things about this game is that it takes place almost think of a volcano. So think of just these giant high walls in your way in the bottom, and you're kind of spiraling your way out. You do a lot of, not necessarily backtracking, but you see progression, and you kind of like, by the end of the game, you can look and be like, oh yeah, I remember where I started way back there at the beginning. So you get a lot of these giant open world environments, and the game just sometimes can't handle that. Sometimes it does very well, and then other places, for unknown reasons, it really seems to struggle, and that is kind of frustrating. And that does definitely set it back a peg, and it does bother me, especially for a PlayStation 4. There's not a lot going on in this game. There's no HUD. There's very minimal enemy involvement. There's very minimal anything other than the beast and the boy. So why it had a hard time with this, I'm not entirely sure. The controls are the other element where the game kind of struggles a little bit. At times, the beast will block the camera, and it's hard to tell what's going on. At times, the boy, you'll try to get him to jump, and he'll just, instead of like jump off the beast's head, he'll just jump maybe a foot closer or like a little bit higher on the beast. A lot of times, you just have to press the disengage button where you just let go, and you just flop to the ground like a dead fish, and then you stand up, and it works, but I don't think that's the way the game designer intended it to be. There's definitely places where you could be more graceful as you traverse the environment, but you just kind of like throw yourself almost like Goat Simulator style at things where you're just like floppy and wobbly and like, okay, at least I made it up, and you can continue. That is frustrating. Controlling the beast is a totally different story. I loved how they did this. Just like with Argo and Wander and Shadow of the Colossus, the boy and Trico have to develop a bond. And early on in the game, the beast will not listen to you. And as you earn its trust, and as he earns your trust, you will find that you can manipulate him and control him to do what you want him to do. He will always be AI. Even when you jump on his head, you're still only controlling the boy, but you can kind of point and shout commands. And towards the end of the game, the beast and I were one and the same. I have read that the beast will react depending on how nice or mean you are to it. So when he's scared, if you pet him or pet his feathers down, or when he gets attacked, if you pull spears out of his body so he can self-heal faster, the beast will be much more sympathetic to you. I had it by the end where I could hold a treat and kind of like throw it in the air and he'd juggle it in his mouth and catch it. I'm obviously a huge pet person. I love my dogs. I treated this beast like he was my pet, and it was a very rewarding experience because of that. I really did like that. Overall, the game was great, just the right amount of length. I don't feel that there was any filler in it. There were some pretty tricky puzzles that took me a really long time to figure out, and the controls particularly did frustrate me even more so when I knew what I needed to do and I just couldn't get the game to do it. That was very frustrating, and for that, it does suffer significantly if there is such thing as a score in this world. But let me tell you guys, the story in of itself will warm your heart. It will change the way you look at AI companions in a game. I think Ueda has done an amazing job of this. And with that, I'm going to jump over to the spoiler section. This is where I put all the fancy graphical and doo-doo-doo sound effects and everything to tell you guys we are going to talk about the spoilers now. And with that, we'll count down from 3, 2, 1, and let's talk a little bit about the spoilers. Wow. What an amazing end to that game. I managed to tear up a little bit, not necessarily bawl out crying. They really play with your emotions a lot with this beast. Towards the end of the game, when the beast is being attacked by the other beasts who are not free of the control of this AI or whatever you want to call it, the way he was pinned down and all these other animals are attacking and snapping at him, and I thought he died. They were biting his neck and they ripped his tail off at one point, and they were like grabbing his legs and pulling on him, and this beast is screaming and wailing in agony, and you're helpless as the boy. Boy, does that really I'm getting choked up thinking about it now. Boy, does that really tug with your heartstrings. But they always triumphed, and that's what made this game so amazing. Was the beast, you know, he grew and developed. When he started the game, he didn't have horns, and by the end he did. His wings were broken and cut off at the beginning, and by the end they had grown back, and he became a fully fledged war machine if you wanted him to be. Some of the moments when you're fighting, you rely on the beast to help you fight these knights, these kind of spirit knights that appear from the ground. The way the music flares and the way the beast kind of lunges down and like mauls these animals in defense of you. And like I said, the way I played it, I was very, very protective of him, and he was very protective of me. A lot of times when the knights would pick me up, the beast would come running over, just like, you know, screaming and wailing like in agony, and just clawing and batting at people, and really protective of me. And that was so cool. I can't really think of a game where the AI impacted me so much. You know, I think maybe games like Resident Evil 5, for example, when you had the AI companion throughout the single player experience, she was good at shooting a lot of things, and she always had your back, so to speak, but there really wasn't an emotional connection. I can't believe that I forged such a connection with this animal, and just how he looked at you and how he reacted to you. And you could feel his pain when he was in pain, and you could feel the triumph of the boy, or your, you know, I guess yourself in a sense, when you got the beast to do what you want him to do, when he jumped to that next platform, when towards the end of the game he runs and he flies off the cliff, and he, at the last second, he's, you know, he manages to fly away, and absolutely incredible. It really does choke me up. There were some amazing elements in this game in terms of just overall plot that leaves you with a lot of questions. You know, why was this place created? Why were they harvesting kids? Why were the villagers kind of so defenseless against this? Is this thing like a machine that's gone astray, or is this part of some master plan? The boy clearly got into things he probably shouldn't have been getting into, but you know, throughout everything, you really rely on the courage of the beast to make you a better player, and the beast, I think, in turn, kind of draws off your strength in a weird way. I know, like, a lot of times when he would see the eye, there's a lot of these eyes in the game that you have to shatter. You shatter the eye, and then the beast can walk through. He's scared of them for whatever reason. There's a really cool moment towards the end where the boy's being abducted, and the beast kind of gets over his fears or his programming or whatever and shatters through the eye to save you. And it's like, whoa. There's so many of those moments that just hit you in the feels, that just make you take a second and take a step back and be like, wow, that really just happened. And I love that for this. And I think that game really sells so many of those great emotions. And for that reason, I loved it so much. And I do think that you can take a game that has mediocre gameplay and maybe subpar graphics, but you put this story on top of everything. And this was one of those games that when I wasn't playing, I was thinking about playing. And I did rush through it faster than I do most of other games. And I'm so glad that I got to experience it without any spoilers, without knowing what happened. And the last scene was so amazing. The boy is knocked unconscious because the beasts are fighting each other, and he kind of like the last ditch effort. The boy kind of saves the day and destroys the machine. And Trico flies away with the boy, takes him back to his village, and the villagers are scared. They don't understand what's going on. And with your last little bit of strength as a boy, you send the beast away, and then you collapse. And the beast flies away with all these spears in him, and you think, oh, he won't last long. And then you watch at the end, and you find that the beast is alive and looks like he's found a mate. Maybe there'll be other kids in the future. The lineage goes on, but the boy had to kind of sacrifice his friendship to keep the beast alive. And sending him away was hard because there's a command you do in the controller to tell him to jump, and I didn't want to hit it. I was like, no, maybe I can. But the boy was so weak, it was the only strength he had left just to tell the beast to fly away. And really, really incredible. I try not to ramble in these videos too long. I know I went a little over my traditional about 10-minute mark, but that's okay. I think a game like this deserves a little bit more spotlight. And yeah, I just want to say in closing that, a lot of people gave this game a hard time. A lot of people were very aggressive about how long it took to release. I think Ueda does amazing work, and I'm grateful that this game finally came out and that we finally got to experience a story that has been wanting to be told for so long. It really does make you think differently about how AI companionship can be in other games, and how you can grow these bonds with these creatures that you can't necessarily control. When the beast wanders off and does something stupid, you're like, God damn it, come here. I want you to get over here. I need to climb up and go to this place. And but towards the end, when that companionship and that forge is made, you're very protective of him as a boy. You're very, very protective of the beast, and you want to see him do well. And it is hard to watch him get hurt and do things he does for you, knowing he's going to get hurt. But I think it's a stronger story because of that. Go back and play Eco. Go back and play Shadow of the Colossus. I think you'll see some common themes. There's a lot better theory crafters than I, kind of comparing some of the themes of these worlds. But as a standalone work, technical issues aside, this is one of the best games I've ever played in my life, and I'm very fortunate to finally have got a chance to play it. Last Guardian was really, really good. So thank you guys so much for watching. Get out there, play some video games, enjoy your week, and until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.